This is a work which is from two projects, Interreg Central Europe and Interreg Alpine Space projects, SASTRI and ALPTREES. And I'm going to talk about the stakeholder perception for adapting climate change, adapting forests of Europe under climate change. So, climate change is not a distant threat anymore. It is reshaping our landscapes, like reducing the ability of our forests in providing ecosystem services. And as the temperature rises, the disturbances increase. Forest and sustainability is very intrinsically linked, like we see here for the forestry sector of Austria, that it actually addresses almost all the SDGs. And therefore, maintaining the sustainability of forests is very important with adaptive forest management strategies. For this, we need to answer some vital questions on what type of forest reproductive material or seeds and seedlings to use. Native, locally available ones, or mixed, or non-native trees. Now, for this, we went out to stakeholders, which stakeholder perception is very important to understand this. And so we conducted stakeholder survey across Central Europe and European alpine space, and the results are in these publications, which I'm going to discuss briefly. So we went out, we reached out to a wide range of stakeholders, ranging from forest practitioners to policymakers to urban landscape designers, and we also understand that there is a huge demand of FRM for forest restoration, and this demand will increase as the disturbances rises. And conventionally, the native, that is local FRMs, are mostly used for this restoration purpose. So with the concept of native locals are the best, here we see in the experiment of Sitka spruce that the populations from California and Oregon outperforms the native local British Columbia, thus showing that local might not always be the best. Also, with this concept, traditional concept of local is the best, we also find that there are strict restrictions for cross-border transfer of FRMs, and thus creating challenges for adaptive forest management strategies. And this concept is widely contested through decades of research, scientific research, and a recent publication, and it promotes promoting assisted migration. This recent publication also says that European forests will have increased sinks if they use adapted FRMs. So in our survey, our respondents, they understand the effects of climate change, but still they prefer local FRMs as the best. Regarding policies, they feel that the national and EU laws are inadequate to address the future needs for forests under climate change, and that they are not well informed about the forest genetic diversity. Now, let us talk about non-native tree species. The non-native tree species is here in Europe for generations. It's not a new concept. The first tree of heaven, or Elianthus altissima, it came all from China in the 1700s, and via Europe, it spread out to America. And in our survey, again, undoubtedly, the tree of heaven is one of the most reported NNTs across Europe. And not only that, except Douglas fir, the rest of it is also reportedly the most invasive NNTs. But one thing is interesting, that most of the NNTs which are not invasive are not utilized. But interestingly, we see that these invasive NNTs are perceived by the respondents as some of the useful trees in future for ecosystem purposes. And then also that risks and benefits are site-specific. Now, we are talking about non-native tree species as alternatives under climate change. So here we see the native Norway spruce. It drastically loses its current range in the future compared to the non-native Douglas fir, thus proving that Douglas fir can be a suitable alternative. Now, in our survey, we found that the respondents are quite conservative, and they fear the invasive potential of the non-natives. This is also because non-natives are deemed to be increasing in the last 25 years. So this fear is reflected in the policies where the NNTs are looked through or viewed through the lens of invasiveness. With terminologies like alien, risk, threatening native biodiversity, like it undermines the beneficial aspects of the NNTs. But there are good news, like policies are changing. The recent EU restoration law, it mentions assisted migration as one of its tools, and climate change adaptation is to be used in restoration. Also, but then policy hurdles are yet to be conquered. Like the EU Council directive, it imposes strict restrictions on cross-border transfer of FRMs, and that deems the EU restoration law part a bit ineffective. So the final thought is our future it depends on new alliances, and therefore adapted forest is a sustainable forest. So we should promote more research in this subject. So that is from my end. Thank you.